Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi live noding. I'm going to continue a little bit further with the Blender game engine. And last time in my first video about Blender game engine, I took you through how to create like a 360 viewer using Blender game engine. So it's really simple. So we just have like a sphere where we are kind of flipping the normal, and then we apply just a 360 equirectangular texture to it, and we also applying like this script that we download from Blender Artist, and use it as our mouse lookup. So if we test it again, if we jump into the camera and we test, it looks something like this. And I forgot to tell you last time about all those text details that we don't actually need to see that. We can hide it. If we jump into this render settings and scroll down, we can see here display, frame rate, and profile. We don't actually need that. Turn that off, and now we can see just the 360. Last time I also have I modified the script, the Python script, a little bit. If I turn on the code coloring and the numbering, so currently the W is kind of, the W will kind of forward the camera, kind of move the camera forward, and the S key will push it back. And I told you before that it's kind of a little bit dodgy because the user might go too far, and then now they can actually see the sphere. We're gonna change that slightly before we move on to how to do our video kind of 360 video setup and how to apply video as texture inside Blender game engine. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna make further modifications with this AWSD key. So yeah, so this is the script, the Python script that we downloaded from Blender Artist last time, and this script allows us to move the camera using the mouse. Okay, so that's simple enough, but it also has other options such as for things for keyboard press, detecting keyboard press, and I made some changes there, but I'm gonna make further changes, like a better one where we can actually change the camera focal length. Instead of moving the camera forward and backward, I think using the focal length is much better, because doing it this way, we're gonna ensure that the camera never really kind of crashing to the sphere dome. So we're gonna do something with this camera lens thing. The thing with the Blender game engine is currently if we hover over the camera focal length, we can see this Python bpy.data.cameras, the name of the camera, and .lens. We cannot actually use any BPY. With Blender game engine, it's all under BGE model, so which is this guy, import BGE, and we need a way to control the camera, right? So I'm gonna use Google. I'm gonna search like a Blender camera focal length, and let's have a look. Normally BlenderStackExchange.com is a really good place to find answers all about blenders. Sometimes I often look into this website and find a lot of really good answers over there. So in this one particular, I'm actually kind of doing it live, right? So I'm doing live noding, so I will probably make mistakes, and I show you how I found the solution for my problem. In this case, we want to change the camera lens focal length, and this one actually give you exactly that. We can just copy paste, as long we kind of know what we are doing. There's this explanation by David. Thanks, David. This BGE logic. So this line actually get the current active camera, and this line will change the camera focal length. So a little bit of Python scripting that we can use. I'm gonna paste the. Let's see if I'm pasting on the top. I know that this gonna grab the camera. If I run this, I know it's gonna fail. And I want to show you how I troubleshoot the thing. So it says name error, BGE is not defined. So because I paste the command on top of the actual import of BGE, that's a kind of wrong thing. The what's happening in the script by Will Casella is apparently okay. He puts this customization, you know, like his custom variables. He put it on the top. But that means if we want to add this camera, you know, we have to put it under the BGE. So this is our BlenderSushi script, or don't say it like that. Just load the camera, load active camera as variable cam. Okay, that's grabbing the current camera, so Blender game engine knows which camera we are talking about. And here we're gonna change the lens. Okay, the lens. The interesting thing about the game engine is we can kind of affect the variable in a more kind of live kind of way. So here I have the key on the keyboard AWSD. I know the W is going to be to increase the focal length, and the S is to decrease the focal length. So let's do that. Let's apply that real quick. So at the moment, pressing W will change the camera lens to 90, and pressing S also change the camera lens to 90. We don't want to do that. What we want is to add to it, to add or subtract the number. Okay, so camera lens plus equal 1.0. That means if I keep pressing the W, it's gonna keep zooming in. So I will test it again. So I have the mouse working, and I have the W key and the S key. So W, if I keep pressing it, I'll zoom in like really far until I can see the pixel. And pressing S, I'm zooming out. But you can see I can zoom out, and suddenly the camera is kind of flipping. That's because the focal length is less than 0. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to limit the camera. So in order to do that, we need a little bit of Python scripting. So here, these lines here, it says if the keyboard events S key is being pressed and is active, and do all this stuff. And I need to comment out the apply movement. We can tell Blender basically if the keyboard is being pressed and the value of camera lens is still larger than 5. That means I'm limiting the camera focal length to have the minimum of 5. Then keep going. If I want to limit the maximum value, I can also do that. I can do the same thing up here. Camera lens is less than, if let's say I want to limit it to 250. That's I think that should work. Let's give it a try. So now if I zoom out, you see I kind of limit. I'm not gonna flip, and I can zoom in, and then at some point it's gonna hit the maximum number, and it's gonna stop. See, it doesn't zoom in anymore. So I'm gonna zoom back. So now we have control over zooming in and zooming out. Okay, that's much better than pushing the camera, we're just changing the focal length, exactly the behavior that you expect as from a normal camera. Okay, so what's next? Video texture. Okay, now for video texture in Blender Game Engine, apparently for the last few updates, they did improve the game engine so it can actually view video in all kind of different formats, not just the OGG or format. You can just use AVI or MP4. It's gonna work right away. But the way to bring in the video texture is not, it's not like selecting the sphere and then plug in the movie here. It's not gonna work. What we need to do is to actually need we need Blender Python to kind of swapping the texture with a video texture that I think it's like a GLSL shader. So that's the tricky bit. So I will have to use Google again, and I know the answer is out there. So google.com. I'm just gonna search BGE video texture. Normally it's gonna give us the answer, the first 10 websites, or maybe the one on the top. There's a tutorial about it, but I know the one that gives you the answer is a website called Blender Tutorials. There we go, tutorials for Blender 3D game tutorial. This website has been around since Blender 2.49 or maybe even earlier. So a lot of example here is made for Blender 2.49. So some of them might not work or might not work, and you'll see that even the view looks like really old Blender. But I'm gonna show you that we can still use it. Even here the script, it says for Blender 2.49, but luckily he actually provide this script for Blender 2.5 and up. So this will actually work. I already tested. You need this Python script in order to do the video texture stuff. I'm just gonna copy it. I don't know the name of the guy. Thanks for the tutorials for Blender 3D. This is actually some of the, it's not like maybe Blender is not too well documented in a way. The documentation is actually a lot better today. Maybe by Blender 3.0 the documentation is much more complete, but Blender is such a kind of like robust, so sometimes asking question at Blender Stack Exchange will give you the answer. You need to ask around to find what you're looking for. Sometimes you also need to just experiment a little bit, especially with Blender Game Engine. It's not, they say it's not currently being too much developed. It's not like constantly being developed. They're focusing on other things, maybe more like Blender cycles or others more important production stuff. Blender Game Engine doesn't have too much support at the moment. But we will see. I think the best tool to do 3D game probably either Unity or Unreal Engine. I think Unity, if you ever open Unity, it looks similar to Blender. It's so much has like the system is very similar to Blender. You will get familiar with the Unity real quick. I guess maybe one day I'm gonna talk about Unity, but that's for another story. Anyway, for now, so I download the script, and I know I should name it as name the script as movie.py, and I will assign this movie into this movie script. I'm gonna assign it into these objects, and by doing that, I'm going to kind of swap the texture, the current photo, 360 photo, gonna swap with the video texture. Okay, let's switch to game logic. So the other day we have this camera and we assign this Python script into the camera. Now we have the sphere. We're gonna do the same thing. Add a sensor which is gonna be always, and I think it needs to have the true activator on, and this is gonna be Python, and let's select the movie py, plug this in, and we are almost ready, except that the script is actually referencing a few things. There are 3 properties that you can create. This is like a kind of like a custom property. If you imagine like a custom input and output in the animation nodes or Spherical, this is very similar. We can create our own custom attribute for Blender game engine. Imagine this is like a single node. So we need a string, a couple of strings and a boolean. I'm gonna turn that on, and there's something called loop. If I check the script, if we check the script, we can actually tell what's going on. Here, video. Okay, video. I think, and we need a material. Actually, movie and material. So movie and material. The name of the material is video, or the name of the object is video. Let me quickly check. I have to make sure this is correct. I have to check on his website. Rename to movie.py. Okay, blah blah blah. This is number 7. Steps 10 to 13. You can have a read at this blog, but I'm just gonna do it real fast. Material screen. Okay, the material name needs to be screen. So material name, rename it to screen. So material screen, and the movie should be assigned the movie name. The one I have, I think I have the trailer movie. Okay, trailer. Let's try with the OGG first. If it works with OGG, it's gonna work with other video format. So there you go. I'm specifying the name of the movie. The movie should be located in the same folder, or if you place it in a different folder, you need to provide the full path to it, or like a kind of a relative path to it. But for now, I can just specify the name of the file. Data format is string, and then the material name is screen. I check. Okay, material screen, and the loop. I want the video to be looping, so I turn it on. And we have assigned this script into these objects, and now if everything works as planned, we should see the movie playing. So apparently it's failing to work, or maybe it's not working if I'm doing a like a recording. This is my photo viewer. Let's save this real quick. This is my 360 video demo 001. I have the one that works from earlier, which is this guy. If I play back, okay, now it's actually working over there. Where's the one that Did I make a mistake? So movie.py is correct. Material, screen, movie, spherical.mp4, loop, boolean. Let's go back to our demo. So materials, scene, the name of the movie, trailer, loop is boolean and it's check, and maybe I don't need this true activation, so it's always let's test it again. File, save as demo2. Material name is screen. Wonder if I made a mistake somewhere. Press P, so the movie is not loading. Let me try my own movie, spherical.mp4, mp4, test it again. Still doesn't work. Let me try. No, not working. Probably the script is I wonder why. So always Python, this is the sphere. Do I need to rename the sphere as video? Maybe. No. Material string screen. Movie string spherical.mp4. If video in obj, video object video. Let me open my test. Materials, material screen. So I named the material screen, and the movie is spherical.mp4. I have this thing turned on. So could be a bug. Wait. Now Blender seems to be frozen. Gonna restart. Maybe I will need the true active fader to be on after all. Okay, let's wait a few seconds. The movie actually looks like this. Wait, not this one. Spherical. So I uploaded to YouTube at some point. I actually use this OpenCV filter to create this kind of a cartoony, stylized looking video. The OpenCV Python is actually quite powerful. You can convert 360 video into stylized movie like this. If I'm not wrong, Blender game engine also capable to do filtering in real time using the GLSL shader, but I don't know yet. I have to study that. So my 360 video and playback. Okay, so it's actually working in this case. It's a little bit slow at the beginning, but it should load properly. Yeah, I have a feeling that it's running out of memory or something. So I have to turn off this Safari. I'm still curious why the demo failed. Maybe this should be on. So it's always actuator, and this is a Python script. This should actually work. Oh, and no, not working. Back to our test, and let's make this full screen maybe. Standalone player, full screen, maybe don't need. Okay, let's try full screen. Maybe I can reduce the AA samples. Doesn't have any kind of smoothing. So full screen, it refused to do full screen because I'm doing recording. But if I'm not recording, this is actually real time. It's a 360 video running in real time, and if we want to add audio, we can do that as well. It's a kind of separate to this video texture. So the video texture is loaded using Python script, and the audio is actually being removed. It's not being loaded. The audio should be like a separate part in the Blender game engine. So I have a feeling that this 360 video will not run in full speed. Let's wait a little bit. Oh, there you go, there you go. That's a bit better. So that's me walking with the Ricoh Theta app, and I'm sitting on the table and eating my lunch. That's me playing with my iPhone. Yeah, I guess that's really cool. Of course, you can do the same thing using Ricoh app, or if you put this 360 video on YouTube, you will be able to see the same thing, kind of experience this interactive 360 using your mobile even. But this is like doing it from inside of Blender. It's really much cooler because it's your own app. You can do furthermore. You can add 360. You can add 3D objects into it, and I don't know, make it interactive and stuff. Okay, let me stop that. So I'm still curious on why the other one doesn't work. One thing I should do probably to load the audio as well. So if I add another always and add an audio here, sound, I can perhaps load a wave from here. Let's see, what should I use? PPAP or maybe this guy. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's not like a random sound. And just plug it in. This always into this guy, and should be loop at the end. And if I try again, okay, It has sound. So that really adds to the whole experience, you know. 360 video, of course, and our camera is just static in the center. But even if we just add an interactivity, you know, like a click on one area and switch the video texture into the next video, or change the sound, it gives this kind of more 360 virtual space feel to it. What else I can add? I think that's pretty much what I want to show it to you. Sorry about this demo file is not working. I'll figure out what I missed and I'll write down on the video captions. Yeah, hopefully this video is useful. If you find if you stuck and you have questions, just ask me and I'll try to answer it. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see